He owns a $10.5 million mansion, sells millions of books, flies private jets, yet claims he never takes a salary from his church. Joel Osteen is not just a pastor, he is a global brand. But how does faith turn into a $100 million empire? Stay until the end, because we will reveal the exact moment Lakewood Church stopped being just a church and became something far bigger. From cameraman to mega church leader. Before Joel Osteen became one of the most recognizable pastors in America, his life followed a path that almost no one expected. Born in 1963 inches, Houston, Texas, Joel grew up inside religion but never planned to stand behind a pulpit. His father, John Osteen, was already a powerful voice in American Christianity, founding Lakewood Church in 1959 inside a converted feed store with folding chairs and borrowed equipment. From the outside, it looked like destiny was waiting for Joel, but inside the family, he was known as the son who wanted nothing to do with preaching. Instead of sermons, Joel was drawn to cameras, lighting, and soundboards. He enrolled at Oral Roberts University, studying radio and television communications, not theology or ministry. Even there, he never finished his degree, choosing practice over theory and returning to Houston to work quietly behind the scenes. For 17 years, Joel Osteen remained invisible to the congregation, serving as a full-time cameraman and television producer for Lakewood Church, building broadcasts, managing crews, and shaping how faith appeared on screen, while repeatedly turning down his father's requests to preach. This behind-the-camera role changed everything. Joel learned how emotion travels through a lens, how lighting affects trust, how tone matters more than doctrine. Lakewood's television ministry expanded steadily, reaching households far beyond Texas, yet few viewers knew the man directing the message was the pastor's own son. During these years, Joel refined something more valuable than theology. He mastered presentation, a skill that would later redefine modern megachurch culture. The turning point arrived in January 1999, when John Osteen died suddenly of a heart attack. 6 days later, with no formal theological training and no preaching background, Joel stepped onto the stage for the first time. What happened next shocked even long-time church members. Attendance surged almost immediately, not because Joel thundered about sin or judgment, but because he spoke with calm optimism, confidence, and emotional clarity. His voice felt less like a sermon and more like reassurance, and people responded. Within months, Lakewood Church began growing at a pace the old leadership model could never sustain. Joel was no longer just the son of a pastor, he became the face of a new kind of faith, one shaped by television instincts, emotional intelligence, and mass communication. What began as a reluctant step onto the stage quietly ignited a transformation that would soon turn a local church into a global platform. And this was only the beginning. In the next part, we will uncover how Joel Osteen turned a grieving congregation into a movement that filled arenas and generated tens of millions of dollars. Comment below if you think media skills matter more than theology in modern faith leadership. The rise of Lakewood Church as a mega institution. After Joel Osteen's unexpected debut on the stage, Lakewood Church entered a phase of growth that few religious institutions in America had ever experienced. Within 12 months, weekly attendance tripled, pushing past 30,000 people every single week, a scale that instantly placed Lakewood among the largest churches in the world. Parking lots overflowed, services ran back to back, and what once felt like a community church suddenly resembled a mass movement. The reason was not dramatic theology or fiery sermons. Joel introduced a positive-only preaching style, deliberately avoiding topics like sin, guilt, judgment, or punishment. Instead, his messages centered on success, blessings, confidence, discipline, and mindset, framed in language that sounded closer to personal development than traditional doctrine. For many viewers, it felt less like being corrected and more like being encouraged, and that emotional shift became Lakewood's greatest engine of growth. As attendance exploded, the church itself began to change form. Lakewood slowly moved away from the visual identity of a traditional place of worship and into something closer to a live experience model. Lighting improved, music became more polished, screens grew larger, and the service flow felt choreographed rather than spontaneous. Every detail was designed to feel uplifting, predictable, and emotionally safe, a place where visitors knew they would leave feeling better than when they arrived. This transformation also changed Joel's role. He was no longer simply preaching to a congregation, he became the central brand asset, the face people recognized before they even knew the church's name. His sermons were structured to work both in the room and on camera, with phrases designed to travel well across television, DVDs, and later digital platforms. Each message functioned as reusable content, capable of being sold, replayed, and shared far beyond Houston. Financially, this shift mattered. Larger audiences meant higher donations, larger book audiences, and stronger demand for Joel's speaking engagements, which would later command hundreds of thousands of dollars per appearance. The church's scale justified investments that smaller congregations could never afford, including professional production teams, advanced sound systems, and media infrastructure costing millions of dollars over time. Lakewood was no longer just a church. It was becoming an institution designed to operate at national scale. Yet this rapid rise also planted the seeds of controversy. Critics began questioning whether comfort had replaced conviction and whether faith was being reshaped to fit consumer expectations. Supporters argued that Joel had simply modernized the message for a new generation. What could not be denied was momentum. Lakewood had crossed a point of no return, and just as the church outgrew its identity, it also outgrew its walls. The next chapter would involve one of the boldest real estate moves in religious history, a decision that would permanently redefine what a megachurch could look like. The NBA arena deal and a $100 million transformation. By the early 2000s, Lakewood Church faced a problem most religious organizations never encounter. It had too many people. The existing building could no longer handle crowds that exceeded 30,000 attendees every week, and adding more services only increased strain on staff, parking, and security. Instead of expanding incrementally, Joel Osteen made a decision that stunned both religious leaders and city officials. In 2003, Lakewood Church signed a 60-year lease for the Compaq Center, the former home arena of the Houston Rockets. The deal cost $1.8 million, an amount that looked shockingly small for a downtown sports arena but carried enormous symbolic weight. This was not a church purchasing land on the outskirts of the city. This was a megachurch stepping directly into the heart of professional sports territory. The real shock came next. Lakewood committed $100 million to completely transform the arena. Basketball courts were removed. Locker rooms were gutted. What had once hosted NBA finals and rock concerts was rebuilt from the ground up into a religious venue that functioned more like a high-end live production. Every dollar was spent with intention. The finished space seated more than 16,000 people in a single service. Giant high-definition LED screens replaced scoreboards. The sound system was calibrated to concert standards, designed so every seat experienced the same clarity. Lighting rigs rivaled those used by touring pop stars. Even the stage design emphasized visibility, movement, and emotional engagement, rather than traditional religious symbolism. Behind the scenes, the infrastructure resembled a broadcast studio more than a sanctuary. Dedicated control rooms managed live television feeds. Camera operators followed sermon beats like a scripted show. Ushers moved in coordinated timing. Volunteers wore uniforms. Entry points were separated to manage crowd flow efficiently. The experience was engineered, not improvised. Financially, the transformation paid off. The arena allowed Lakewood to host massive weekly services without renting external venues. Larger crowds translated into increased donations, book sales, and media reach. Each sermon delivered in that space was simultaneously a live event and reusable content for television, DVDs, and digital platforms, multiplying its revenue potential far beyond the room itself. Critics argued that the church had crossed a line, turning worship into entertainment and faith into spectacle. Supporters countered that excellence honored God and that the building was simply a tool. What mattered was the result. Lakewood was no longer limited by walls or tradition. It had become a scalable platform. This arena deal permanently changed the rules for megachurches worldwide. It proved that religious influence could be amplified through infrastructure, branding, and capital investment at levels previously reserved for corporations and sports franchises. And once the building was complete, Joel Osteen's reach was no longer local. The next phase would push Lakewood beyond physical attendance, turning sermons into global products and Joel himself into a worldwide brand. Faith as a media and merchandise empire. Once the arena was secured and weekly attendance stabilized at historic levels, Joel Osteen shifted focus towards something even more powerful than physical space: distribution. Lakewood Church no longer operated like a traditional religious institution. It functioned as a tax-exempt media company capable of turning a single sermon into a global product that generated revenue long after the final applause inside the building. Every weekend message was recorded, edited, packaged, and redistributed across multiple platforms. Lakewood sermons aired on television networks in more than 100 countries, reached millions through YouTube, and played daily on satellite radio, all without the limitations of local attendance. The same 30-minute message could be monetized repeatedly, creating a compounding effect few churches had ever achieved. Books became the financial engine. Joel Osteen's publishing success exploded after the arena move, beginning with Your Best Life Now. That single title sold over 8 million copies worldwide, with hardcover editions priced around $25 and premium editions exceeding $30. Conservative publishing estimates place total revenue from that book alone at more than $40 million before translations, audio versions, and devotional spin-offs. Each new release followed the same model. Sermon themes were repurposed into books, journals, calendars, and daily devotionals. A devotional priced at $15, multiplied by millions of buyers, quietly produced revenue streams rivaling mid-size corporations. Merchandise extended beyond print. Branded water bottles sold for $12, motivational shirts for $25, and DVD sermon sets often exceeded $50 per package. Digital platforms expanded the empire further. The Hope for Today mobile app offered free content alongside premium materials designed to keep followers engaged daily. While individual app purchases were modest, the scale transformed microtransactions into significant income. Licensing deals for translated content added additional millions annually without requiring new production. Crucially, Joel Osteen stopped taking a salary from Lakewood Church in 2005. This decision reshaped public perception and legal exposure. Without a church paycheck, his personal wealth came from book royalties, speaking engagements, and licensing income, not direct donations. Speaking appearances alone reportedly commanded fees ranging from $150,000 to $300,000 per event, depending on venue and audience size. From a financial standpoint, the structure was elegant. The church handled production and distribution under religious tax protections. Joel, as an author and speaker, earned income through commercial channels. The separation reduced regulatory pressure while reinforcing the narrative that his lifestyle was funded by product success rather than offerings from the pulpit. Supporters viewed the system as efficient stewardship. Critics saw a brand wearing religious clothing. What cannot be disputed is scale. By the mid-2010 seconds, Joel Osteen's media reach exceeded that of many television networks, and his name functioned less like a pastor and more like a global trademark. Yet visibility also brought scrutiny. As revenue climbed and the brand expanded, questions about transparency, responsibility, and crisis response grew louder. And one moment in particular would test the strength of the entire empire when the cameras were suddenly no longer friendly. The book machine and personal fortune. The true turning point in Joel Osteen's financial trajectory did not happen on a Sunday stage but on bookstore shelves. Because once his message left the church walls and entered mainstream retail, it stopped being limited by faith boundaries and started behaving like a global consumer product. In 2004, Your Best Life Now was released with a simple promise: positivity, abundance, and personal breakthrough without theological complexity or moral confrontation. The timing was perfect. Within months, the book climbed onto the New York Times bestseller list, where it would remain for more than 200 consecutive weeks, an almost unheard-of run for any non-fiction title, let alone one connected to religion. Sales volume transformed the message into money. By conservative publishing estimates, the book sold over 8 million copies worldwide, with an average retail price ranging from $22 to $30 depending on edition. Total gross revenue from this single title exceeded $40 million, before counting translations, audiobooks, large print editions, and bundled devotionals. Unlike church offerings, book royalties flowed directly to the author. What made the system powerful was repetition. Each sermon theme became a chapter, each chapter became a product. Journals priced at $15, daily devotionals at $14, calendars at $20, and boxed gift sets reaching $50 created layers of monetization built from the same core message. Once written, the content earned indefinitely, year after year, without new production costs. The strategy also expanded the audience. By framing faith as self-improvement rather than doctrine, Osteen reached millions of readers who never stepped inside a church. For these buyers, the books functioned less as religious texts and more as motivational manuals, placing them next to business titles and psychology bestsellers rather than theology sections. This positioning multiplied reach while minimizing resistance. Speaking engagements amplified income further. Corporate events, leadership conferences, and arena-style talks reportedly paid between $150,000 and $300,000 per appearance. Fees justified not by preaching but by brand value and audience draw. Each appearance boosted book sales, which in turn reinforced demand for future appearances. Over time, the accumulation became visible. Independent financial analysts estimate Joel Osteen's personal net worth at approximately $100 million, built almost entirely outside direct church salary. His wealth included intellectual property, licensing agreements, and real estate purchased with publishing income, creating a financial profile closer to a media executive than a traditional pastor. Supporters viewed this as proof that positive thinking works. Critics argued it blurred the line between ministry and monetization, but the numbers tell a simpler story. By converting faith into a scalable self-help product, Osteen created a machine that printed optimism and revenue in equal measure. And yet, as the fortune grew and visibility increased, the margin for error disappeared. One unexpected crisis would soon test whether positivity alone could protect an empire built on image, luxury, controversy, and the Osteen dynasty. As the financial success of Joel Osteen became impossible to ignore, public attention slowly shifted away from sermons and books and toward how that success was being lived, because wealth is never controversial in isolation but becomes explosive when paired with moral authority. At the center of the debate stood his personal residence, a 17,000 square foot mansion in River Oaks, Houston, purchased for $10.5 million, located in one of the most exclusive neighborhoods in Texas, surrounded by hedge-lined streets and guarded estates that quietly house oil executives, hedge fund managers, and old money families. The home included 6 bedrooms, 6 bathrooms, 3 elevators, a guest house, a professional-grade kitchen, and expansive garage space, features more commonly associated with corporate tycoons than spiritual leaders. Osteen insisted the mansion was paid for entirely through book royalties and media income, not church donations, a distinction that was technically accurate, yet emotionally irrelevant to critics who struggled to reconcile messages of faith with imported stone floors and gated luxury. Supporters argued that abundance proved the message worked. Skeptics argued that prosperity looked different when viewed from a pulpit. Then came the moments that reshaped public perception. In August 2017, when Hurricane Harvey flooded Houston, Lakewood Church initially remained closed, while thousands sought shelter across the city. Although the church later opened and provided aid, images of locked doors traveled faster than explanations, creating a narrative of hesitation that damaged trust and sparked national criticism. 4 years later, in 2021, controversy returned when a plumber discovered envelopes stuffed with cash and checks hidden behind a bathroom wall inside Lakewood Church. Authorities confirmed the amount was linked to a 2014 theft, totaling approximately $600,000, a case that had remained unsolved for years. No charges followed, no suspects emerged. The silence that followed only deepened speculation, turning unanswered questions into long-term reputational weight. Despite the noise, the structure of the Osteen empire never wavered. Lakewood continued to operate with corporate precision. Victoria Osteen, Joel's wife, remained co-pastor and brand partner, sharing the stage and reinforcing the image of unity and continuity. Behind the scenes, succession was already visible. Jonathan Osteen, their son, gradually took on more prominent roles in worship, leadership, and public appearances, signaling that Lakewood was not merely a church but a family-run institution designed for generational survival. What emerged was something larger than a single pastor or a single scandal. Lakewood became a multi-generational faith brand, combining religion, media, publishing, live events, and family governance into one tightly controlled ecosystem worth hundreds of millions of dollars in influence, if not direct valuation. Whether viewed as inspiration or exploitation, one truth remained unavoidable. Joel Osteen did not simply build a church, he built a dynasty. If you've watched this far, share your thoughts below on where faith ends and branding begins. Joel Osteen's story leaves us with several powerful lessons that go far beyond religion. First, media control creates influence. Joel understood early that cameras, lighting, and storytelling could reach millions faster than pulpits ever could. Second, branding can redefine belief. By removing fear and judgment, he transformed faith into a product people were willing to buy, read, and share worldwide. Third, income streams matter more than titles, even without a church salary. Books, licensing, and media deals built a fortune exceeding $100 million. But this lifestyle also raises uncomfortable questions about transparency, responsibility, and the fine line between inspiration and commercialization. Love him or criticize him, Joel Osteen mastered the system he operates in. If you found this breakdown insightful, hit like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications. In part 2, we will explore other powerful religious figures whose wealth shocked the public even more.